The Winter X Games brings together the greatest athletes from around the world. Athletes who've changed their sports.
Isn't that our paper boy? Sure is.
The Winter X Games continues tomorrow.
This is where the action is. This is where you can see the death-defying crashes, the amazing finishes. I mean, you wouldn't believe they're pushing 80, 85 miles an hour. Flying down the hill, just hoping that they don't get sideways. That's the end. It's extreme.
What these shovel demons need is speed.
The main goal at this point from now on is we want to go faster, faster, faster.
Ouch!
This is a shovel. With it, you can shovel. You ride it like this. Now, the trouble with this system is your weight is carried by the relatively small surface area of the shovel, and you sink into the snow. That slows you down. But skis are curved. They have camber. They spread your weight out over the snow. You don't sink in as much, and down you go. So what you do is you put your shovel on skis. See, the shovel's got to be in there. That's in the rules. Now, this particular competitor has not chosen to incorporate any aerodynamic fairings in her design. You want your sled to be shaped like a marine mammal, tapered in the back. That way, it slips through the air. Then you check your designs with testing. Not bad. Turning the shovel into a super mod is a process. That's science.
Go 1555 Elf Love.
Up until now, super modified shovel races have always been held at Angel Fire, New Mexico. The Winter X Games brings a change of venue and also with it a few wrinkles to the event. We talked with Bill Burgess for an explanation.
All right, let's talk about the course. Here, of course, it's two sleds side by side. At Angel Fire for the World Championships, it's one at a time, totally lapse time. The other thing is vision from the pilot standpoint. At Angel Fire, the slope goes this way. Right back here, it's the other way. They can't see the finish line when they're at the start. Spooky. You want to have a good qualifying time because out of the 12, we end up with 8. The fastest sled races against the slowest sled. 2 runs. If the fastest sled beats the slowest sled, the slow guy's out. It's that easy. We have quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. Now, that means the guy that's going to win makes 12 runs. So attrition is going to play a very important part of this race. The sleds must have 2 independent braking systems. They cannot be tied one to the other. Parachutes, hey, we recommend them. They are not counted because a parachute won't stop you. It'll slow you down. Now, how do you make sure the guy has good brakes? Easy. You penalize them 1.5 seconds if they touch the catch net or the barricade below the finish line. Now, 1.5 seconds, you might as well penalize them a day. That'll put them out of the money.
For those of you who are maybe interested in trying this sport or just wondering what kind of person is crazy enough to do it, Here's some words of advice and enlightenment.
There's going to be a lot of people that have never seen this before going, ooh, I want to try that.
I guess if there's one thing that all of us have in common, like to go fast on something that's non-motorized. So I guess everybody from hang gliders to the street losers to, you know, I think even people who like motorized vehicles would get a kick out of this, you know.
Once they see it, there's those garage engineers that had the same maybe dream that we did.
This is a pretty insane sport. It takes a lot of craziness. It takes insanity. It takes big cojones.
If you don't like speed, though, this is the wrong sport for you.
You can bet that I will be right here to watch the super modified shovel races, and I hope you too can join us here on ESPN. For Explained, I'm Paul Higgins. We'll see you next time. Hi everybody, I'm Paul Higgins, and welcome to another edition of Explained. In the next half hour, we're going to introduce you to a Winter X Game event that will no doubt win a prize for being the most obscure extreme sport on the slopes of Snow Summit. It's called Super Modified Snow Shovel Racing, and it may take the prize for the most exciting and zaniest extreme sport as well. X Game coordinator and former world champion of the sport, Bill Burgess, tells us how it all began at a New Mexico ski resort 25 years ago.
I'm standing here at the base of the run at Angel Fire, where shovel racing really began 25 years ago. Of course, the ski resort started 30 years ago. We were in our infancy then. It's changed a lot. This part of northern New Mexico is known for a lot of things. The shovel racing is known to a specific few people. Certainly every area has guys, lift operators, etc., that will get on a production shovel and ride from point A to point B. Some of them even maybe have little races now and then because we've been on television a few years. But super modified or any kind of modified shovel racing is really known only to Angel Fire, New Mexico. This is how it started. It's still part of it. We call this a production shovel. You buy it at the hardware store. You can wax the bottom of it to make it go quicker. You can't do anything else. If you were to screw, let's say, a little handlebar on here or up here or put tape on it, it becomes modified. Of course, with the Winter X Games, we're talking solely of super modified shovels. This, however, is still part of that. Underneath, whatever the shape of that machine is, there is a shovel. It might not be quite as recognizable as this, but it has to be there. Now, it doesn't bear the weight of the operator anymore. It's kind of like a hood ornament underneath the sled, but it has to be there. That's part of the rules. We still have, obviously, the production class here at Angel Fire. The operator puts his behind in here, his feet pointing in the same direction as the handle, points it downhill, and away we go. Well, this is the view the pilots got. Now, 25 years ago, the pilot saw something a little different than what we're seeing now. The run's a little bit wider. It is certainly a lot smoother. When we first started this, the challenge, of course, by Mike Miller, who had a production shovel, plain old grain scoop, he said, all right, I can beat you guys in ski school, and you can even wear skis. Well, he didn't beat many guys on skis, but he beat everybody on the old grain scoop.
I challenged ski school, ski patrol. I challenged everybody, and I said, I can get down that mountain faster than you guys can, and I get down better. I beat them all. I was the fastest on the mountain, sitting on my butt on a shovel. I mean, maybe I was crazy or whatever, but I could ride that shovel. When it was all over, everybody just loved it. They wanted us to do it again and again and again. And that's how the shovel races started.
The second year, you got it, modified showed up. Since Bob Harney created that first modified shovel racer 24 years ago, they've taken on a variety of shapes and sizes. Aerodynamics certainly came into play. Some people continue today to argue which is best, one that weighs the maximum of 500 pounds or a real lightweight. One of the many varied shapes and sizes that was really memorable in a winter many times was Jack Knight's Mud Shark. It was a tank from one of the military airplanes that he put skis under. Jack got into this thing. It's Well, it's kind of a family thing. This family in this case was the guys that run Winter Sports, the oldest ski shop here at Angel Fire, and Jack's boss, one of the owners, Chris Ashcraft. Well, he's another racer that didn't do it a lot, but he did it big time. He never won the event, but he set a new world's record for altitude. When he crashed, he got so far, well, we're going to let Chris tell you about it.
Well, after my first run, I was slightly out of control and did a small roll at the finish line. And while I was waiting for my second run to begin, I noticed that all the other sleds were setting world record paces, and they were unable to stop, and so I didn't think I would be able to either. As I started down the course, I was hyperventilating so badly that I fogged the inside of my windshield, and as I started to head into the crowd, I flipped an emergency brake, which flipped me into the air, and as I understand it, I set the altitude record, but I don't remember too much about it until I came to in the first aid shack, and that's when I retired.
When we come back, we'll talk to some of the daring competitors that will be racing their super modifieds at the Winter X Games.
A shovel. What comes to mind? Snow, digging ditches, a sore back. Well, for some guys, it means racing. Here's Lee Faria off the beaten path.
Like anything else, a super modified shovel racer begins on the drawing board. That moves to the driveway, which in turn leads to the slopes. But first things first, why would you race one of these things?
I was never tall enough to be good at basketball. I was never big enough to be good at football, so I would always have to look toward the other sports like paragliding and so forth, and this was just one that there weren't a whole lot of people out there trying.
Super modified shovel racing began way back when as just plain old shovel racing. So how did it make the transformation?
You know, you always want to build a better mousetrap, so they're like, hey, we can put some skis on these things and this and that and get them going really fast. And you know, most of the first types would hardly ever make it down the mountain. They'd blow apart before they ever got there.
Finally, our heroes have their bags packed and the pickup loaded for the X Games in California, where they hope their hard work will pay off.
Get more people interested, more sponsors, more people into the sport just itself, and it's going to be a good thing. And I'm way happy that I'm going to be there, because just witnessing this whole event, it's going to be outrageous.
Now, not only will Team Shovelmeister compete at the X Games, but a week after that, it's the World Championships at Angel Fire. At Superpoo, I'm Lee Faria, off the beaten path.
The shovel has to maintain contact with the snow. There has to be a shovel on that thing.
I didn't see the shovel.
Winter morning in northern New Mexico, Sipapu ski area near Taos. Oh, it's cold, cold. Snow is deep. John Strader arrives with some friends in a sleek-looking machine he calls Thor's hammer. One of John's friends has this to say about John.
It takes a sick mind to come up with something like this. It's true. He's a demented man. That guy right there, he's demented.
John Strader's dementia has produced Thor's hammer, a shovel racer. It's a relatively new twist to an old sport that kids in snow country have known about for a long time, that of riding a snow shovel down any steep, snowy hill, like this. It's actually kind of fun. It'll ratchet up your heart rate pretty high. Snow shovel racers have been clocked at over 60 miles an hour, and there have been champion snow shovel races.
It became an actual sport in Angel Fire, and then as soon as it did that, they're like, hey, how can we put some skis on this shovel and make it go faster and this and that, and the sport was born 24 years ago. So we plan to milk it for all she's worth.
Thor's hammer is a modified shovel racer and was the world champion last year at Angel Fire ski area near here. There has to be a shovel actually making contact with the snow, but that seems to be about the only rule. As we can see in these pictures from last year, they look pretty good competing. They clocked 74 miles an hour. They've made some changes to the braking system, though, which is basically a scoop shoved down into the snow from the bottom of the racer. Today, they're testing the new brake. Kent Hutchings is the driver. Photographers from local TV and from ESPN are here. Here comes Thor's hammer. General pandemonium and panic until they get the sled turned over and find Kent shaken. Maybe thinks he's in a bad Batman movie, but okay. And Kent comments in wonderful understatement.
By the time you get to the bottom, you're pretty rattled. You're pretty shaken up. You're ready to get out of this puppy.
Now back to the drawing board. Later in February, about a dozen teams will gather near here at Angel Fire Ski Area and compete to be the fastest humans on shovels.
I mean, this is not a new thing. I mean, people think, I've never heard of that. It's got to be brand new. People have been riding shovels a long time. It just has taken a while to organize it into a sport.
At Sipapu Ski Area in northern New Mexico, this is Bill Leverton, just a little bit off the Arizona Road.
Action 7 News Network reporter Terry Cernuto takes us to the Sipapu for a taste of shovel racing.
Why not step out of those bindings, put your skis aside for a little while, and take a stab at a different kind of mountain challenge? Shovel racing is fast, a little wacky, and the only equipment you need is a snow shovel.
Workers building trails at ski resorts used to slide down the hill on their shovels at the end of the day. That's how shovel racing began. Now it's turned into a championship racing event, testing courage and pushing sanity to its limit. You always want to build a better mousetrap. So they're like, hey, we can get some skis on this. They'll get fast. The first ones were the most ridiculous looking contraptions.
Are you comfortable down there?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable, but there's a bit of irony in the shape of it.
In other words, this sled looks like a coffin. And on this practice run, Hutchings had a near-death encounter.
I wasn't really thinking that I was going to die or anything like that. I just knew that something was wrong and that I was just trying to get my bearings, actually.
Even though he was bruised and sore, Hutchings says he'll try to do it right next time and become the world champion in February at the big shovel races in Angel Fire. Terry Cernuto, Action 7 News Network.
Well, you can learn more about shovel racing on your computer. There's a website at www.net/Kent-H.
My name is Daryl Gordon, and I'm from Issaquah, Washington, and I'll be racing tachycardia for R&D Racing at this year's Winter X Games on ESPN.
My name is Rob Villalobos. I'm a firefighter for the city of Mercer Island in Washington State, along with my partner Daryl Gordon. I will be at this year's Winter X Games, and I will be racing a sled called Backdraft 2. I got introduced to the sport back in 1993 when an uncle of mine came up to visit, and he brought with him a videotape. On this videotape was 3 years of shovel racing, and I watched it, and he said, you know, we've never had anybody out of the Northwest.
The races were held in Angel Fire, New Mexico, and we're from Seattle. We couldn't get much farther away, so we were intrigued by the sport. We saw some videos, and so I was prompted by a coworker.
We said, okay. We headed down to New Mexico, and I think my first thoughts when I saw this hill was, what the hell am I doing here? This hill is steep, and it's long. And I went, I didn't expect this. All the videos that we'd viewed, they don't show you how steep the hill is. They just show you that it's long, and it looks flat on the videotape. It's real steep. So the confidence in the sled was decreasing just because of what we figured we were up against as far as the hill.
The first time that I ran the modified shovel, it was a different feeling of the adrenaline through the body. You know what's going to happen, you know you're going to be released, but there's an unknown. You don't know what it's going to feel like at all. So you're sitting there and you're waiting and you're thinking about the things that you need to do, the checklist, if you will. Then you're just waiting for the starter to do a countdown and go. And so you kind of have this buildup of adrenaline or nerves in your body. But once you cut loose and you start going and you kind of get the feel for the vibration and the noise that the sled's making, then you kind of settle in and realize, or don't think about what's going to happen. It's now happening.
And I was a little off course at first, so I straightened her out, got her going straight, and this sled was accelerating so fast. But as it accelerated, my confidence kept getting, kept building up, going, this thing is just running beautifully. And faster and faster, and I thought, there's nobody going to beat this sled. It's just too much faster than anything else they've got down there. And about that time, a ski broke. And in my configuration for skis, I had one on each side. You take one away, it doesn't leave you anything to run on that side, so the sled ultimately will do a cartwheel and a barrel roll, and I did so for about 200 yards.
this kind of race, since it's straight down the hill, the confidence knowing that you can do it, or the sled can do it, and you know what it feels like to do it, then all it is fine-tuning and getting as fast as you can.
In our second year, Fire on Ice was basically a test sled for us. We reconfigured the entire sled based on the information that I gathered from my crash in 1994. The sled, at that point, Fire on Ice, 10 times the original sled. All the changes we made were positive. The sled ran beautiful. The brake system works beautiful. Everything just seemed to be real effective. We decided that all our designs from now on were going to be based on the Fire on Ice sled. Now, last year it was the #2 sled in the world, and we're constructing 2 new sleds this year we think will be faster. And if that's the case, we should have at least 3 sleds that are in the top 4.
There'll be more super modified action coming up next.
Scale. I'm working on the mouth here.
You're working on the mouth?
I'm gonna wet it down. You know, this is an art that was passed down from my father and his father before him.
Was your father a shovel racer?
No, big shovel racer.
Big shovel racer. Was he one of the best shovel racers ever?
Well, you never know. I mean, it's like back in the days when Green Bay played, you know, in the Sun Bowl, which they never did. They played like in an ice bowl. It doesn't work.
I don't know about that, Gail.
I dropped my beer. And who do we have here? Are you a member of Team Shovelmeister, sir?
Yes, I am.
Yep.
I'm Tony.
Tony, what is your job here at Team Shovelmeister headquarters?
I make the breast for the snowman.
All right, the breast. Now that is also a very important aspect of the snowman, or snow woman, we might say. We're not exactly...
People, listen good. We got a thing gonna do you all some good. Everybody doing it, from the grown-ups on down. Feels so good when the sun goes down. Doing the day, gonna watch me work. Doing the day, gonna watch me work. Yeah, relax yourself. Take off your shirt. Get ready, baby. You're gonna do us all some dirt. Everybody's shaking in the bad side of town. Feels so good when the sun goes down. Doing it, baby.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. By Pringles. Grab a can of Pringles and start slamming the stack. And by Nike. Kermit Brown has been involved in the Angel Fire races for the past 12 years and is the only Angel Fire local competing in the Winter X Games. We caught up with him at a shop in the Angel Fire Village.
Well, years ago, I came up here, and I lived here for about a year, and I watched these shovel races they had up here. There was a lot of insanity going on. Some of the sleds were just nuts, you know, dangerous. You know, I looked at those and I thought, well, I can do better than that. This was my first creation. I built it to prove a point, really, years ago, that kids would come up to the ski area I worked at for a ski lesson and not be able to afford one. So I explained to them as I was working on this beginner chairlift that it's just like riding a bicycle without the bicycle or a motorcycle. If you're going down the flats, your feet would be flat on the ground, but if you went into a turn, you always put the high pedal up to one side and then your other pedal down, so that would kind of give you the position of the skis you needed. It eliminated the snowplow. These people took onto it pretty quick. You know. It does the same thing. It skis, actually. I just put the motorcycle under the skier because it actually leans and edges when it corners and has a suspension of the motorcycle, so it pretty much Cadillacs down the hill pretty nice. This sled here is my first super modified, the one that I actually get inside of. You know, I built this lightweight back here, but 4 years ago I convinced myself I needed to get in one with a little more protection. So built this one, and it's a whole nother world. You get in there and it's pretty claustrophobic. You're sitting there and you've got a little window. I don't know if I can say this, but you've got the little window into hell looking out there. And not much else, you know, it's so fast and it's pretty rough. I left the ground in it 3 times last year. So it'd just be rattle along all of a sudden. And then bang, rattle, 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 bang. So that's quite a rush there, hoping your ski tips come up or something, or you're coming down in a straight line. And as soon as you think that finish line's past you, you drop a brake because you have probably 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds between the finish line and the catch net to stop that thing. And it pasted my eyeballs to the windshield. It stopped so fast, it just said, skeech, and that was it. Well, last year, this one, it took a third last year, but previous years, it took a second for a couple years in a row, and I was 0.02 of a second from being first. And I don't know what happened there. I think somebody flipped a pine needle out on the track and hung me up. So you always know how to build the next one. You take the finer points of what you have and incorporate into a better sled. You know, it should be a lot faster and smoother ride and a whole bunch safer. I'm real confident of that. This sled here is my latest creation. It's totally designed for mostly safety and reliability. I've seen some pretty bad wrecks, and I don't want to be in one of them or have anything to do with it. It's not an easy thing to watch. This one should ride a whole lot nicer, be a lot more streamlined, and I'm building this one specifically for the X Games. And I haven't seen the course out there yet, so I'm kind of, you know, it's like a blind date. You don't know what I'm getting into yet. So I'm kind of overbuilding it a little bit, and I've got some trade secrets in the back that, if I told you, I'd probably have to kill you. But I think what it's going to take to win this game is dependability. You know, I need a good, reliable sled that can do all these runs that it's going to be qualified to do. Got to do at least 12, and I think that's where I'm going to eliminate my competition. Because most of these sleds in previous years have just been a one-shot deal. They've got down the hill on a hope and a prayer and totally out of control, but they've wrecked after the finish line. You know. The camaraderie of this sport is, I'd call it kind of thin. You know, we're all competing with each other, and nobody really has 2 sleds that are alike. You know, so in years past, we used to sneak around in the blizzards and stuff like that, looking in each other's garage windows, you know, and laughing at what kind of creations they're coming up with. And shaking our heads thinking, oh man, they ain't gonna get it, they're gonna die, you know. So sometimes we'll help out, you know, we can go have a few beers or something, we'll sit around and we'll be nice enough to tell them that their sled isn't gonna work, and we'll give them a few pointers to keep them safe. My wife pretty much thinks I'm nuts for racing these things, but it's pretty safe, reliable machine, and the rest of my family, they just think I'm a really sick dude. But they haven't ever experienced it. You know, it's the rush that I'm in this for. besides the money. Well, there's never been any money in the deal, so it's pretty much just by the seat of your pants thing. You just take a risk for just the thrill.
Stay with us. When we come back, we'll meet the defending world champions.
People, listen good.
Okay, we're here at Sipapu ski area. What we've got going on behind me is we've got a, hey, get out of the way. We've got a snowplow digging us a little bit of a wall, a little trench here, because we're gonna bring our modifieds down and we're gonna stop right here. So we wanna make sure that we're not crashing over and into the creek that's down here. We're actually gonna be going down this hill right here, coming right down here, starting from the top and coming straight on down, pan it, coming straight on down, and we're gonna hit our brakes here on the flats, and we're gonna hope to not crash into this wall, and we're gonna have a little pop fence, a little net. So right now we're just getting set up, we're getting all the action happening so we can actually test our sleds and make sure that when we go to ESPN we've got everything figured out, all of our drivers are comfortable in the sleds, so we have a better chance to win. This is a modified shovel, the newest of our sleds, the Viper. This is the newest of Team Shovelmeister sleds, and this also is going to be one of our sleds. Built by Kent Hutchings. This is, what's it called, Kent?
Duct tape and baling wire.
Duct tape and baling wire. That basically makes it sound like it's going to just fly apart all the way down. We hope that's not true.
No chewing gum? I didn't want to add the extra weight.
Ready? Yep. Bye. Okay, Kento. All right. Now let it ride, Kent. Oops. That's what we wanted to do.
That's why I didn't pay it. It's okay.
There's movement in the cockpit. He's okay.
I'll go back and down the hill.
Yeah, we'll check them out after
Well, the cameras came for in there. We're happy. They can leave now. You're back and forth.
Okay, tell me what happened to him.
Man, he crashed. He
What did he
tumbled,
do?
snow flew.
What did he do? Did he screw up?
Yeah, he screwed up.
Oh, big time.
He screwed up.
Man shouldn't be racing a shovel.
Well, you know, he's not the world champion, so he doesn't know these
Took
things.
a digger. So what's your dig on the whole thing? What did he do wrong, man?
That steering is funky.
Funky? How's it funky? Tell me.
But like the brothers say, do anything but be funky. He's definitely funky.
How is the steering screwed up? Tell me.
You turn that way and it goes that way. Turn that way and it goes that way. I don't know, it's like, it's the opposite of what it should be.
Ah! You just got to.
What are you thinking, man?
What am I thinking?
Yeah.
Concentration. I'm trying to think backwards.
Concentration.
Concentration's going to be it because this is really a difficult concept. trying to, like, you know, edge against the whole grain of my being, so we'll...
So you turn left, you steer right. You turn right, you steer
Yeah, I'm just going to try to get down the hill this time, see what happens. Just try to get down the hill.
Good luck, man.
Not roll it again. Okay, let's rock and roll. Concentration. I know.
You're going to have to deploy your brake here in a minute.
Okay, this is John's second test run. He crashed on the first. He's going to test his brake first, then he's going to go for it.
Remember, if you want to go left, you got to turn to the right. You remember that? More? Remember that. You shouldn't have to steer much. In fact, try not to steer much at all. So you remember the steering.
Dig out here.
So how was it? A better run?
Yeah, I did actually have to steer it, and I had time to... See, I wasn't in the situation where I was like... I was already starting to edge, so I had to like react. It was more like, okay, I'm starting to go this way, all right, let's turn opposite of that. And so I did it, and no problem, but I guess we'll try it from the top this time.
How about your braking?
The plow works really good, but I need to be able to put more force on it.
Well, we realized
we want to...
Kent Hutchings piloting duct tape and baling wire. Hi guys.
Hi, welcome to Team Shovelmeister, the after crash show.
Well, his crashed.
My crashed.
I did not crash.
John,
Here,
we
you
thought
actually move that.
we thought
Last time, right?
we thought Kent was going to crash, but Kent came out smelling like a rose. Looked a little like an embryo, but
It's a tight fit, all right. You know, I wrecked yours last time. You couldn't run today.
he won't be driving mine again, without a doubt. And John's was it looked beautiful. Tell us what happened, John.
Well, the steering was a little bit backwards, so my natural instincts when I'm going this way is to steer against it, which actually in my sled right now steers towards it. So I just got a little sideways and caught an edge, rolled over. It's not really any big problem. We will get it all fixed up before we go to the big race. But that's what being here at Sipapu is all about. Testing our sleds, getting everything ready. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't check your sled enough to get Gail out there on the hill. We wanted to have the hammer coming down, but...
My nitrogen brake, it broke off a little nozzle. It would have probably looked something like the Hindenburg had I gone down, so we didn't really
the Hindenburg?
It would have been
want to
pretty.
test that. Yeah, it would have been full of nitrogen.
Would look good on camera.
See, Gail Bowles here is the first ever two-time world champion in production and modified. First, no one's ever done that before.
It's a one-time, but I guess it's an all-around.
All-around title. He's got the all-around shovel race title. So what would you say the best thing about the entire year has been being the world champion?
Just on those days where you're bummed out, all of a sudden you just think, why am I so bummed out? I'm the world champion. I'm #1 at something. And plus, you know, I think it's really been fun knowing that that everything has gotten a little bit bigger with ESPN and all that stuff going. MTV. Speaking of which, wasn't Dan Cortez one of the only people ever to get hurt with the?
I think Dan's a geek.
Watch out, Dan's got buffed out from the last time I've seen him, so I don't know if you want to be saying that about him, but...
I challenge Dan to come ride a shovel. I dare him.
I don't think Dan's a geek.
But so, are you glad you didn't paint your sled, John?
I'm very glad that we did not paint the sled.
John was going to paint his sled last night, and they decided against it, and it was a good thing because he crashed it, so...
I would sure hate to have my my paint job be damaged before I ever got a chance to do anything.
Well, if you'd quit wrecking it, it wouldn't be a problem.
Right, what?
If you'd quit wrecking it.
And Kent, tell us about your embryo. What's the name of that sled again?
Duct tape and baling wire.
thought it was duct tape, spit, and baling wire.
I took spit out because I tried the spit. It wasn't of the right consistency to hold the parts together, so.
So let me ask you this, Kento. What would you say the overall, what did you learn today by racing your contraption?
Well, Gail's got a good idea. I mean, we were all mounting the brakes on so that it was shaped, it was wedge shaped.
Oh, don't tell him, don't tell him, that's a secret. No, I'm just joking. Okay, go ahead.
This won't be aired until after the race.
So is it really a secret? I'm really not supposed to tell?
No, go ahead.
I'd get in trouble after we interview and I tell him, you're like,
no,
I didn't mean that.
It's just, it's got to look like a plow, like a horse and plow was basically what we're talking.
So the wedge we had it drop in to gather the snow, and instead Gail suggested that we drop it in with the angle forward, and that way the snow is shed to either side and it's more inclined to go deep as opposed to just skimming off the surface. I didn't have enough stopping power today, I didn't feel like, so I had to use my secondary brakes too.
What about your steering?
My steering? The primary steering is going to be a fin with a rudder, and the idea there is that you have less friction, and I think it's going to work. Only time will tell, but I didn't have that hooked up today.
I just want to thank How did you get involved in shovel racing, and why do you stay so involved every year?
Oh man, let's see. Basically, the only one who would accept me is this fellow right here, John Strader, and his funky, hunky-dory sport called shovel racing. Tried it. The first time I kind of took it as a joke, and then after that I realized that it was something that could be a lot of fun.
What did you wear the very first time you were on the ski slope doing shovel racing? What was your costume like?
Scuba Man!
And your underwear?
Wait, what does Scuba Man consist of?
Scuba Man wears a scuba mask and scuba fins, and he sits on a shovel with a snorkel in his mouth and heads down the mountain at a high rate of speed. It's pretty nuts. I look back and I think that I was nuts back then. Now I'm going like twice as fast, or at least 3 times as fast, I would think, and I think I'm just taking it more seriously now.
I wore the Kevlar vest and a jock strap that was about 2 sizes too large. The strap, not the cup, not the cup, but the strap. The cup was a little tight, but. John, what did you wear?
What, my first time? Yeah, we were wearing these big cups because we were afraid of squishing some cojones.
Dan.
And we also, our first time, see, we were racing light modifieds, which a light modified is any modified shovel that's under 100 pounds. It doesn't have to be in the, you don't have to be in a full cage roll bar and harness and all that sort of stuff. There's no seatbelt. It's just
no seatbelts.
You just basically use some skis and a shovel and a brake going down the hill, basically at the same speeds at the super modifieds. So it was our first year doing this. We were a little concerned that getting thrown off the sleds at 70 miles an hour and getting...
I got thrown. I got hurt. I got hurt bad. Whiplash. I hurt my shoulder.
What place did you come in? It was his rookie year. He rode the Grateful Sled, one of Team Shovelmeister's light modifieds, his very first time in. How did you do that year?
No, on the sled. On the sled, I actually... I was like 3rd after the first run, and then somebody edged me out in one of those heavy, like our crafts, a heavy modified. Oh, Matt.
Matt beat you in Kent's sled.
He crashed winning, but anyways, it's another story. I think that there's a lot of competition, and it's just a crapshoot. There's no telling. There's really no telling. I think there's a lot of competition. A lot of people stand a good chance. Both of these guys should have beat me last year on the production, but like I say, it's a crapshoot. I just happened to catch the right line. And everybody else is getting sucked into the wall, which can happen, but I don't know. What do you think, Kent? What are you going to do different this year?
I'm going to avoid the wall. In the production races, I'm going to avoid that damn wall. I hit it and leapt about a couple foot off the ground. And
were you wearing a cup?
Yeah, I was wearing a cup, but I wear mine on the inside, Gail.
Oh, that's right. I wear mine on the outside, but I don't know if I'll be wearing a cup this year. I might just go fully all out.
Bleep out
and to see where it ends up from there. I think that one of us is going to win. There's no telling which one. One of us, and then the other 2 will probably be in 2nd and 3rd. Maybe.
So John, what kind of innovative designs do you think are going to be coming to this year's races? I mean, it's the first year for this thing to go outside of the state of New Mexico, and everyone's going to be vying for the title that Gail had last year. What do you think they're going to introduce to the designs to beat him?
Well, I think that the best chance to beat Gail Bowles this year will be coming from his own teammates. I know that there are a few other teams out there with some previous experience that will probably have a good chance to win, but I think that it's going to come down to attrition in this sport. And who crashes and lives better than us? I don't know. Nobody.
I think there's a lot of competition out there. They got those boys from Seattle and Eric Oliver. He's from Oklahoma, but He does crash well.
He does. He has some beautiful crashes, I must say.
Well, he built some sweet-looking machines, you know, and you never know. He's due. He's ripe. You say he's ripe, John?
I'd say he's ripe.
And
Well,
ready.
it's because he died in the last crash, and no one moved him off the mountain, so the decaying body just
Are you
turned.
Channel 4?
I'm Channel 4.
Oh, God, you guys are
All right,
way
well,
too late.
We're going to...
What's been a novel New Mexico ski slope tradition is about to go big time.
As Dan Monahan reports, the nation will soon get the scoop on shovel racing.
The Viper!
The Viper is a brand new shovel racer in an all-new shovel racing world, as is the still unfinished and aptly named duct tape and baling wire. For years, these so-called super modifieds have been the featured acts at Angel Fire's annual shovel races. This year, that season expands to include nationally televised racing in California.
I want to be a super modified shovel racer.
ESPN's ad for its Winter Extreme Games features cute elves and sleek sleds. New Mexico's Team Shovelmeister will send 4 of the 12 racers entered in the event. They're using Sipapu's ski slopes to test things like braking power and, in the Viper's first ever run, crash survival.
Once you get sideways in one of these things, it's over, so, you know, but that's okay. It looks like it can still make another run, so we'll try it again.
These Shovelmeisters aren't fooling themselves. They know it is not the clean, fast runs down the slope that interest ESPN.
Well, it does take a special breed of psycho to do this sport.
About the only testing Gale Bowles needs is whether he still fits inside Thor's hammer. He and his sled are the reigning champs from last year's race at Angel Fire.
I like it. You know, my dad asked me, why do you have to do it again? Because I like it. It's a lot of fun. Unless you've done it, you don't realize how much fun it is.
The racers say they hope the nation will now realize the fun in their sport. They hope after the ESPN event, gaining popularity for shovel racing will be all downhill from here. Dan Monahan, Action 7 News.
Does that look like a shovel to you?
Not like any shovel I ever scoop snow with.
Well, they're racing.
Dive, Gale, dive! Dive! Dive!
Where the penitentes are from, where they whip themselves and beat the sin out of themselves.
What was that? You're psycho, bro.
Penitenteville. It's like, that's what shovel racing is. It's like the penitente bobsled. Penitente bobsled skiing thing.
It's pretty scary if you've never been up there before. It doesn't look bad from the bottom looking up, but when you look down, you're going, ooh.
Holman, New Mexico. Population around 300, where the cold mountain winds funnel through the valley. Adjacent to what appears to be an automobile graveyard is the office of Don Adkins, where this salvage becomes machine. For Adkins, a longtime builder of racing vehicles, the newest challenge is super modified shovels. It's no wonder that his sleds look like dragsters. He's been racing them for over 20 years.
Start at this direction and it'll curve back that way.
His son Derek may race for 20 more.
Okay, let's see. There it goes. Oh, it's going good now. Oh, trouble.
Just copying my dad whenever he builds something, I'll build the same.
He'll see things that I really didn't notice. They see things. They know a lot more than you think they do.
To his family, to his team, the cadence is calm, the voice of experience.
It stops plenty good. He was worried about the brake not going in far enough. If you're in trouble, you'll get it in there. All the way.
Going fast is old hat. The trick is adapting his knowledge to the new conditions.
I enjoy the speed, but stopping is you worry about it. I do. Don't know if you're going to get stopped or not.
The view from the top is very different, no matter what the craft.
That's exactly like the real ones do, huh? Exactly. Much.
And how many days left do you have to build your sled here?
About 5 or 6, more than enough.
More than enough to fix these ones
Yes.
and do yours? And
Yes.
let's see. So, do you think we have a good chance of winning out there?
Oh, yes. We've got a great chance, and I think one of us is going to do it.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't have done it without you. That's for damn sure. Can you all in the audience feel the heat coming off this? This is how we heat everything up here in Holman. Nature's way. The old-fashioned way. Dodge, our sponsor. The Viper named after the Dodge Viper. And, of course, Team Shovelmeister. Scheid Motor Company. Can't win without them. We've got Thor's hammer, which did take a little bit of a spill, and all of it was just a little bit of testing out, trying to get things done. Now these skis here are much shorter than the ones we actually use. Alright, let's talk about the rules of these modified shovels. These sleds must have a certain few things to turn them into the shovel. Well, the first thing, of course, is a shovel actually touching the snow within 12 inches of their butt underneath the sled. The next is these things have to be underneath 500 pounds, which most of our sleds are. And the other thing is they have to be able to stop. So you have to have a primary brake, which you saw as the pneumatic plow of Thor's hammer, and it must have a secondary backup brake, which is the brake that we're working on right now, the release mechanism for the two-prong plow that's going to come down. Other than that, you can put these things on skis, snowboards, whatever you seem to think is going to go fast. It's really quite up to you. That's the thing we love about our sport. It leaves a lot up to the creativity of the artist and the driver and the builder. That are like this, and Kent wants to have a fin that steers his. So we really don't, you know, we just condone that everyone's sleds can be as original and different as possible, and that's really part of the big thing here. Team Shovelmeister will have 4 sleds. 3 of them will be 2-ski designs, and mine will be the only 4-ski design for the team this year. The reason being, I guess, most of our people here in Team Shovelmeister seem to think the 2-ski design is the faster sled, which I tend to agree with, but I think that at ESPN it's really going to come down to who has the most stable sled that can make run after run. So far I haven't quite proved that for my sled being 4 skis, but I think we will once we get the steering fixed. You are here. Where is here? So I'm just driving the vehicle home. We've got a lot of things to do, so much time. Okay, well, I'm driving down the road to Sipapu just because I'm always doing that, going back and forth between Donnie's house and my house in Taos. So I'm just showing my view of the ride as I cruise along here. I basically go back and forth to Taos and to Mora about 2 to 3 times a week, sometimes more, and it's about 40 miles each way on a snowy mountain road. Sipapu, one of our sponsors, as you well know, is about halfway in between there. So usually I'm cruising back and forth, stopping at Sipapu, you know, talking to Bruce Bolander there, seeing what's happening. But, let me ask you a question, Bruce. How did you get involved with all this shovel race stuff here?
Well, it was kind of an interest, a sideline interest for me, and then I met the Team Shovelmeister guys, and they convinced me that I ought to be involved with it, and so we are. It's kind of exciting.
Are you excited to have these sleds here and all the coverage here at Sipapu?
Absolutely, you bet.
So let me ask you this, Bruce. Do you think we're crazy?
I wouldn't call it crazy. I'd call it alternative forms of entertainment.
Alternative forms of entertainment, huh?
Being on this drive between here and Mora all the time, driving back and forth between Donnie's shop and our home base, Taos, New Mexico, you know, gives me a lot of time to reflect and to think about things that I've got to get doing and how much work we've got to do and phone calls I've got to make and sponsors I've got to try to hit up for more money. I mean, I've estimated that that half, or more than half, of the money raised so far by Team Shovelmeister, which will be an undisclosed amount, I mean, in the thousands, the money has gone towards lettering the sleds, painting the sleds, getting them to look nice and look good for the camera, because, that's a very big part of this whole thing here at the ESPN. I mean, they want to put 3 cameras, small little pencil cameras, on each of our sleds, so they get all these different shots, like our face going down the mountain, and what it looks like when the brake deploys, and a nose cone one. So I mean, they want to get as much shots of this as possible, and so we want them to look nice. I mean, we want Team Shovelmeister to show up and look like the unbelievable thing that we are. Speaking of how much money it costs, that's why we're here at Acorn Graphics. How much money it costs to actually letter these sleds. Boy. So I don't know if we should give him the pleasure of actually putting him on tape. I don't know. We'll see. Ooh, yeah. Savage. But we got a little package from one of our sponsors, Atomic, today. Let's see what we got. Some fat boards. Oh my lord. Whoa! Whoa, and they're pure white. Why is that? Okay.
Battery blinking.
So we have 2 sets of 250 centimeter fat white jumping skis. Wow. Look this up. Some Savage skis, a little bit, not exactly what we had in mind, but they'll work. Atomic. Atomic.
And these neat hats that definitely give you the full cranial shot of the advanced skull.
Let's see that skull in zoom. He's gonna hook us up. He's gonna make our skis fast, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. How fast are you gonna make them?
As fast as they go.
As fast as they go. Woo! These things are huge.
We're in, dude. Are they?
Hi, we're here at Cottom Ski Shop for another bit of Team Shovelmeister action. We've got professional ski tuners working on our speed skis and jumping skis to make sure that we have the fastest stuff on the mountain. So we're going to be showing you a little bit of what goes into to tuning up these skis to make these skis absolutely as fast as they can possibly go. The Fishers, fastest skis on earth.
What's Atomic gonna say about that?
I asked them for speed skis, they didn't have any. So I said, I'll take what you can get, but I use Fishers for the speed skis. Now he's got a Cottom Ski Shop shirt on here, which Cottom is one of our sponsors, hooking us up with some financial backing and some skis and wax and whatever we need. We at Team Shovelmeister figured that we've got some secret weapons up our sleeve that nobody else has. Part of them is Andy Dobos, Team Shovelmeister member and master ski waxer. Let me correct that by saying master ski tuner and all-around badass. And ex-pro ski racer who really understands snow temperatures, waxes, mixtures, and everything. And we'll just walk right over here and we'll try to get Andy in the background here. So as you can see, he's working on some things, getting ready to, ooh, there we go. So what exactly are you going to do here, Andy? What are the steps involved?
Well, we need to get this old wax off before we can run it through and put a new structure on the base.
Okay.
Then we'll fix that up or clean that structure out before we put the new wax on.
Alrighty. And would you say that Doug here is the best in the business on putting the structure on the...
Doug is the best. He's world renowned. Maybe this will bring it out a little more.
Now what's that right there?
It cleans and takes off any of those. I don't know how many secrets I should divulge here. You know? Why tell the world?
Tim's Chili Connection, the rockin' place, and of course, Shide Motor. Let's get it better. Shide. Without Shide, we'd be hosed. These guys are hooking us up. sleepy time. No, thank you all. Thank you very much.
Not at all. Big event going on tomorrow night. You want to start off with that?
Boy, really big. Chris Draco and the Rattlecats are coming back to Taos for one last huge blowout at Tim's Chili Connection tomorrow night about 9 o'clock. And it's just to raise money to fund Team Shovelmeister getting out to the Extreme Games the weekend after the Super Bowl.
What was that?
Actually, I've sabotaged each one of your sleds. Mine is going to be the only one that makes it down here safely.
I see. Oh, well, is that the team attitude I hear?
Yes.
Still to come, the crossover events aren't new, but they sure are exciting. And speaking of exciting, super modified shovels, they're racing for the finals. And you're coming back to Big Bear Lake, the site of the Winter X Games, from 300 miles above the earth down to San Diego, site of the 1997 X Games, June 21st to 28th, up to Big Bear Lake, just outside of Los Angeles, to Miracle Mile, site of the men's speed competition. Let's go to Bobby.